It's raining. It's raining quite a lot. When we set off on Arms Round this morning, it was quite nice and sunny, and we reached town, and down came the rain, like massive water bombs. But nothing's changed. All of the people are still standing outside of their houses, coming out of their shops with their bowls of rice, offering their spoonfuls, among other things, very nicely and beautifully and generously as normal. No one, at least as far as I could understand, was talking about the weather, which is quite unusual for a British person's perception, as all we seem to do in my country is talk about the weather, even though really it's less extreme in the UK than it is elsewhere in the world. Suppose in the UK we can have 4 seasons in one day, but when it rains here, when it rains in India, it really, really rains heavily. I'm not sure that it's usual for it to be raining at this time of year, yeah. But there it is. And even if it had been raining when we set off on Arms Round, we would have still set off on Arms Round. This goes on whatever the weather. So this is good practice for me, because the monsoon season is now about 4, 5 months, 6 months away, when there will be 3 months of heavy rain every day, which I'm used to in India. But in India I didn't have to go on Arms Round each day, and to some extent was able to avoid the actual being in the rain, albeit where I was living there was no electricity when it rained, and I was always up to my knees or above the water wherever I had to walk. As you can see from the fan behind me, I have electricity, even though it's raining and I'm in the forest. So no complaints, enjoying it rather. It's a nice change of the scenery is different, very vibrant. How do I do this? I'll turn this around. Ah, there we go. So we have everything is wet. My robes are just trying to dry there. It's not cold, hence the fan, but that's really sort of maybe assisted the drying process. I had to wear my sangatis for the meal offering and to eat the meal, which is troublesome enough trying to keep the ordinary thickness thin robe on when doing practical things sometimes, like walking on Arms Round. And when it's wet, as I discovered today, even harder, because it's laid down and pulling itself off all the time. So we continue as normal, unaffected by seemingly external environments. And of course, this is the practice. So I thought I'd take the opportunity to go inside, not spiritually speaking, but inside to my kuti and talk to you. But I began outside, so I think I might continue. It's quite nice. I'm not sure how the audio is going through that. I think maybe these earbud things I'm using, or this earbud things I'm using, may not behave so well in this damp. question that was asked of me just recently. It's one of the dogs. It's been underneath this Bluetooth keeping dry. It obviously has no cause to go out. Yeah, so a question I had was, let me turn the camera. How do I do this? I'm being very amateurish with this today, even more so than normal. Well, I'm trying to think where to put the camera down where it won't be rained on. There aren't any options. So if I put it down here, like that. I'm going to sit over there. That'll be okay. Well, I'm not sure this is going to work because of the audio. Hopefully you can see me. Okay. Yes, the question I had was, what is the goal? Specifically, I can't tell you exactly what the question was. I don't have it in front of me. The goal, I think, meaning the goal in life, the goal in this practice, it could be extended to. But my answer is the goal is to become free from suffering and the cycle of rebirth. Is my standard stock answer. It is my goal to become free from suffering in this lifetime. Now, really, it's not really a goal, more an experience, because we're not aiming for any particular achievement, and we're not aiming to get to any particular place. We're aiming to understand. We're hoping to see clearly the nature of existence and the answer to the good old questions, the meaning of life. What is the meaning of life? It's more the question than what is the goal of life. If you take the answer to what is the goal of life literally, it is to die. The opposite of life is death. You're born, you get old, you get sick, and you die. And the story, question, answered. But during that lifetime, we have various options. We can behave badly, or spend our time fruitlessly in a life of hedonistic enjoyment, sensual pleasure, constantly seeking achievements of gratification, one way or another. And then even if we live a long life seemingly enjoyable as a result of that, at the end of it, we have achieved maybe some happiness, and maybe given happiness and joy to others. But I think you'll appreciate and find that that is quite a rare thing with that outlook and that way of life. Those lives are either quite short-lived or form a short part of one's overall life. Hedonistic or this, what is it? Another word for hedonism, hedonistic. I mean, it's the root defilement that is behind hedonism is greed, of course. Now we have a certain amount of natural inbuilt greed. This is how we survive. This is why we're here. So back to my reply or my answer to be free from suffering in this lifetime. One can say, well, what is suffering? Well, suffering is either not having what you want or having what you don't want. And this can be also called desire. Desire to have or desire not to have. And likewise, desire, which stems from greed, is not necessarily a bad thing. Again, it is why we're here and how this life, this physical life of ours, arose through desire. And even if we accidentally conceive the outside conditions, causes, and circumstances surrounding even that conception would generally have been rooted in desire, wholesome or unwholesome. So this desire is at the root of suffering. But this doesn't mean we have to diminish, extinguish, get rid of all desire. But we can separate desire into two halves. Good desire, bad desire. And the bad desire I'm talking about is wanting, or more specifically, craving. So to want to, or have the desire to develop one's mind wholesomely, developing wholesome mind states and reducing unwholesome mind states, is a good desire, a wholesome desire of wanting to improve oneself and also improve one's moral virtue, behavior towards other people, and in turn help other people that way by improving the lives of those that surround you. But craving, for instance, for sensual desire, gratification, lust, greed of this nature is of course bad desire. It is unwholesome. It serves no purpose other than temporary distraction, not even satisfaction. These cravings, these desires, these are cravings because they are insatiable. If a craving was satiable, so satisfiable, then it would no longer be a craving. You'd have what you crave for. Let's say it's a drink of some kind. You drink it and that would be it, end of story. You've satisfied that need, over. So it wasn't really a craving. Craving is continual. You have that drink and it's a temporary distraction from that wanting, that desire, but then soon becomes apparent again. A craving comes back to the foreground. And these can just go through life unnoticed, ordinarily. And they can go through life and cause no problems. Or they can go to extremes, and people can have terrible problems with cravings and addictions and bad behavioral patterns, all kinds of things. So our goal, or the purpose of this life, well, not so much the purpose, if it's the goal at all, is to become happy. And happiness is a symptom or derived from contentment. That's all. You're not just happy for no reason, because happiness is an emotion like sadness. And you're happy when you're content with life. Just as you might be sad, you'll have that emotion of sadness as a result of being discontent with your lot, excuse me, with your life, or with what you have, that stuff you don't want, or what you don't have, stuff you want, desire. But when you can see the insatiable qualities behind desires arising from greed, lust, and in effect what is really ignorance, which is the third of those three root defilements of greed, hatred, and delusion. In a way, greed and hatred are much in the same thing, in that greed is really wanting something and hatred is really having an aversion, not wanting something. Like wanting something you haven't got, or not wanting something you have got. So you might hate the pain in your knee and want the pain to go away. So we can recognize those two parts of these even three root defilements as quite similar, albeit polar opposites. But what is the common denominator is the lack of understanding, delusion, which is confusion, which is ignorance. And not understanding where greed comes from or where hatred comes from is the problem. So if we have a goal, it's to develop wisdom, which is the understanding of what is behind greed, the understanding of what is behind hatred, and then the understanding of how to go about reducing greed, reducing hatred, thereby increasing wholesome mind states and reducing unwholesome mind states towards this goal of achieving contentment, resulting in happiness, less sadness, or less suffering. And I also answered in that question to be free from the cycle of rebirth. How you can consider rebirth to be within this lifetime or from life to life. Now, as a Buddhist monk, I understand the nature of rebirth, former lives before this physical life and lives after this physical life. It isn't a belief system. At first, one has to have some faith or confidence in the Buddha's teachings as he spoke of rebirth in terms of life after this physical life ends, being reborn to suffer this round of birth, aging, sickness, and death all over again, albeit in possibly different realms or states of existence, from the hell realms, animal realms, human realms, heavenly realms, and so on. But one has to understand that, not believe it. And the way one understands it is one brings it into this lifetime, where you can see it experientially, not just through heightened sense of awareness in deep states of samadhi or jhanas, but just looking at your own life, how often it's changed and you've been reborn. My own example is coming from being a lay person to becoming a monk, and the interim period, which was many different phases to arrive here. But even since being a monk, ordaining in India, during the last rainy seasons, it was very different to here. It's not the rainy season, despite the appearance, but my environment is very different, and therefore those causes and conditions do have an effect. My perception of this life is coming from that same knowing quality, awareness, conscious awareness, if you like. Seeing. Seeing. Seeing, I might need to get some water. Excuse me. I'll be back. Yeah, seeing the nature of existence as it is, as we're experiencing each and every day what is happening, as being just that, experiential. And we can be enjoying it or not enjoying it. But this is just an emotion resulting from either wanting more of it or less of it. And we'll want more of it when it's all gone. Again, the emotion flips from happiness to sadness. And if we have something that we don't want, and then that feeling goes away, or what's causing the not wanting goes away. So say it's a pain in your knee again, and you don't want that. You're suffering, you're sad, but when it goes away, I feel much better, I'm happier now. It flips. And when we see this, recognize it as just that, it becomes very obvious how temporary and permanent these states, these emotions are. And then one develops more, not so much resilience to them, to the pain, not resilience to the temptation, but this wonderful quality of equanimity, not having to react, being able to remain stoic, unmoved, and understand the emotions that are arising as just that, impermanent, or maybe unsatisfactory, but out of your control, and therefore to be with patience and forbearance, just observe. Now, if we can do something about a situation, we can do something about the situation, but just that. But to worry about it, to imagine it going on and on and on into the future, or to question why it has been affecting you in your past, is pointless. It is here at this moment now, and that is a very short space of time. If we take one moment, then pain in one moment is not pain. It's only because it's lasting. And you have an injection with a needle into through your skin, then it's so momentary you don't even notice it. It's quick. So it's only if the pain lasts. And conceptually, we can make a pain or something we don't like last forever. Or we can see it as, well, it will come to an end. It's impermanent. And even if it lasts until the end of our lives, this life, it isn't, oh, that isn't forever. Something fell down, probably a piece of tree. So the goal is to be happy. How? Well, as lay people, it's simple. We lead good lives of moral virtue, and we practice meditation, which helps us really calm the mind and improve the quality of our lives, assists with that, seeing clearly, and just that. And the development of our wholesome mind states and reduction of our unwholesome mind states is the development of wisdom. It's not increasing intellectual knowledge, it's not learning, it's seeing life in its real form, clearly. And this is assisted greatly through the practice of meditation. because it's in meditation we give ourselves time, undistracted, to see what causes us to go out through our sense windows of seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, touching, and thinking, go out and grab what we think we need to distract us from something we don't want, or go out grabbing the sights, the sounds, the smells, the tastes, the feelings to help us with our thoughts, what we think will satisfy us and keep us content and make us happy. But it's delusion, it's ignorance that is fooling us there. Just that, because when we get what we think we want, we soon find we want something else. So when we sit with some patience and a little forbearance, or some time, desires will arise. I want a cup of coffee, or I want to scratch this itch, or I just simply want to move, or just stop doing this. But if we resist that urgency to react, that tendency to react, and to just go through the rising of that desire to do any of those things, and then wait and see how that desire passes away, or remains and increases, but not to do anything about it, to just witness it, you will see that eventually it will go away. So whatever craving there is, isn't permanent, and therefore it isn't necessary to try and satisfy something that cannot be satisfied. And this undermines the power of addiction, even. Knowing how useless acting upon the craving caused by addiction is, undermines the power of that craving, takes away the need to try and satisfy it, replacing it by the understanding that, yes, this is terribly uncomfortable. Why can't I just do that or have that? It will be nice. And it doesn't even, it may not even be something that causes direct harm to you or anyone else. But you will know for yourself the truth behind it, that if it entails anything that is affecting your mind state, your clarity of mind, if it is requiring any resources, financially or time or physical, then it is taking something away. It is taking some quality away from your very existence or from other people's, without replacing it other than with that temporary pleasure, that gratification, which is worthless, useless, and only increases the desire for more. So just this understanding, just that comes from sitting in meditation, seeing a desire arise, stay,